Hello, guys. In this one, as you can see, we're going through the Wikipedia page for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The reason I wanted to do this was because it's actually a lot better than it used to be. Um, there could be other pages, and that could be why I'm remembering it as terrible. So maybe I'm just not on the right page. Um, but previously, I remember being on Wikipedia and going through and being like, "Oh, this is terrible. Like, we don't know. This is awful." However, I've gone through it in 2026, and it seems to be mostly correct. Please don't do that, cat. um, So we just read through this first couple here. This is LDS Church. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, informally known as the LDS Church or the Mormon Church, is a Christian denomination. Thank you, Wikipedia. And the largest denomination in the Latter day Saint movement. What it's referring to here is the other little teeny tiny groups. I believe the largest of those, I think it says in here, I think the largest one is Community of Christ. We'll find out in a second. Founded during the Second Great Awakening, the church is headquartered at Salt Lake City, Utah, United States, and has established congregations and built temples worldwide. As of 2024, it has 17.5 million members. I believe it's 18 million now, of which more than 6.8 million live in the United States. The church also reports more than 109,000 volunteer missionaries and more than 200 dedicated temples. Yes, that's us. We're restorationist and non-Trinitarian. Restorationist just means, assuming that they're referring to what we refer to it as to mean, it just means that we don't think that we're another branch that broke off from the Catholic faith. We literally think we restored what the Catholic faith lost, um, and by consequence, everyone else. Um, like a brief history lesson here, like there was Christ Church. The apostles died. A bunch of different Christianities started up. Constantine was like, "This is no good for my rulership, so I'm gonna unify them all." This is the Cliff Notes version. I'm gonna unify them all, so he does, and then out of that comes the Catholic Church and papal succession and stuff like that. However, that didn't happen until a while after Christ and the apostles were gone. Um, and then after that, the churches were kind of unified for like a brief minute, and then I'm sure there were still smaller Christian sects around that were not part of the Catholic Church. So I'm by no means saying the Catholic Church was the only faith, but it was the main one. And then they broke off and became the Roman Catholics, the Orthodox, and the I guess Catholic. I don't know if there's three or if there's just two, but basically someone had a pope, and they were like, "We don't like that pope." And other people were like, "Well, too bad, he is your pope." And then yeah, Protestants, evangelicals, Pentecostal, they all break off from the Catholic Church. So if you are a member of any faith that is not in some form Catholic, and you are trying to tell us that there was no need for a restoration, you're wrong, because your faith is based on the idea that the original church went wrong somehow, and your faith is somehow doing it better. Um, you would call it, I believe, a reformation, which is that's I'm not disagreeing that that's a term that you could use for that, but it is still not safe. That's pretty much affirming that there was some sort of issue that needed to be resolved. We say we restored it back to the original. I'm non-Trinitarian. We don't believe in the Trinity. The Bible doesn't either. Nothing to worry about there. Through I don't think his substitutionary atonement on the behalf of mankind. Yes, I think that's correct. Although I don't think that reducing it to that word is necessary. Like we believe that Christ suffered for our sins. Um, Yeah, and then it talks a little bit about our canon. We've got the Holy Bible, the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price. Yep, that's our main four books. And yes, we have an open canon. I've talked about this in other videos. It just means that we don't believe God stopped talking. We believe that He still talks to us. We believe that there's still prophets. Um, and if you don't believe there's still prophets, why does the Bible take so much time talking to you about what a false prophet would look like if it could just say there's not any prophets, so don't worry about it? You see what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't tell somebody how to bake a cake if you didn't want them to bake the cake. Like, you wouldn't say, okay, I don't want you baking any cakes, but if you do have to bake a cake, this is how you tell it's a real cake. That's not what the Bible is doing. The Bible is going, you will be baking a cake. This is how you tell it's a good cake. I hope you like my analogy. Sorry, my chair does not work anymore, and it just drops me about every 5 seconds. I'm going to be fixing it a lot. um, yeah, they all consider us to be distinct and separate from mainstream Christianity. We're fine with that, actually. We just don't like that you guys say we're not Christian. We definitely are. Look, here's Jesus right here. Church of Jesus Christ. We are definitely Christian. We don't mind not being mainstream Christians. That's fine. We don't like being completely separated from Christianity. We don't want to sit at your table. We just want people to know that we have a table. um, that was skipping back up. Anyway, so here's a little bit about Joseph Smith. This is like pretty much accurate. Um, I don't know, secession crisis. It seems to have a source there. I don't think there really was one too much. I know that Sidney Rigdon, James Strang, and a few people claimed to be like Joseph Smith's next in line, but the church has always functioned on the idea that the apostles, the 12 apostles, would call the next president, and that happened. It was Brigham Young. um, Sidney Rigdon was not picked. I don't believe James Strang was even in an option to be picked. He claimed that an angel showed him everything. So there's that. Um, Moving down here, I know the first thing I did want to cover was down here in the beginnings. So this is kind of accurate. This is accurate. I'm not. It is accurate. This is accurate. It's a very run of the mill, very straightforward, very basics. So if you're looking here to try and find some issue one way or the other, you're not going to find it. You're going to have to look more into it. This here, the Kirtland era ended in 1838 after a financial scandal rocked the church and caused widespread defections. Yes, but just the phrasing here, it just makes it sound like there was tons of like half the church left or something. And no, I think it was just a lot of people, not like all of them, but like a few people lost faith. And if you want to read about this, a really good place to read about it is in the book series Saints that the church published. I don't know. See, that's Rough Stone Rolling. That's a good source. Um, Refiner's Fire. I think that's a good source. But Saints is a good source too. And Saints, Saints does not make it sound like a few people, like just a few people. Like there were definitely defections, but it wasn't like half the church or something. And here he regrouped with the remaining church in far west Missouri. That makes it sound like there was a small amount of people that made it out of this financial scandal. No, like a few people, a lot of people did have issues, but it wasn't like a ton. Like, and to be fair, it's kind of a rough thing. Like people expect this is the I've made tons of videos about this, about perfection. People expect the prophet to just be perfection in everything that he's doing. And that's just not feasible for a human being. So what happened was, let's see if it talks about it a little bit. Financial scandal. See, it doesn't even say here. The Kirtland Safety Society makes it sound like a scandal. The scandal is not Joseph Smith. That's not the scandal. Joseph Smith tried to start a bank. He got denied and started one anyway. And what they were doing was that they made these little notes. And they called the bank the Kirtland Safety Society. And these little notes they gave to people, they would buy them, and basically replace that with their money. Um, the issue is one anti-Mormon dude went around and was like, you know what, I'm gonna shoot this in the foot right now, and he went and bought up like everyone's notes, and then went into the bank and demanded all of his money out of the bank. So he effectively single-handedly shut down the bank on his own. Like, that was the scandal aspect of it, is this anti-Mormon dude. It's not Joseph Smith. If he had not done that, the bank might have succeeded. Another thing that they're not mentioning, because they're trying to frame it as a scandal, is that literally every bank in the country was failing at that time. It was not an easy time to be a bank owner. So Joseph Smith pretty much had everything against him at that time, and he failed. And that's to be expected. Like, I don't, as you can see from the church's holdings today, it didn't affect anything. It definitely affected them, but it didn't stop the church like that anti-Mormon was trying to do. I can't remember his name. It's in Saints. Um, anyway, let's see. On my notes, I have clarification on gods. So let's see what. Um, let's just read through. I think all of this is accurate. I think this is all accurate. This might talk about the Mountain Meadows massacre. I still haven't made a video about this, um, but this is true here, in which leaders of the local Mormon militia ordered the massacre of a civilian immigrant party who was traveling through Utah during the escalating military tensions. After the massacre was discovered, the church became the target of significant media criticism for it. What they are not telling you here, number one, Brigham Young did not order the massacre. It doesn't say that he ordered it. It says local Mormon militia ordered it, but it doesn't say that he didn't order it, and that needs to be made clear. The church as a whole is not responsible for the Mountain Meadows massacre. The Mountain Meadows massacre is an isolated event of people in their own brains coming up with a plan to do something that they should not have done. Um, yes, it was bad. It was not what they should have done. Brigham Young did not order it. In fact, they hid it from Brigham Young for some time afterwards, and it wasn't until later that Brigham Young even found out that they had ordered the massacre. He knew about the massacre, but they blamed Native Americans for it for a long time. As soon as Brigham Young did find out about it, the children that were left from the massacre were returned to their families back east. In fact, that might have happened earlier, but I believe some of them were taken in by members and then returned later. So, yeah. And then the Civilian Immigrant Party, they were not innocent fully. Like, they didn't deserve to be killed, but they definitely, like, we have evidence that they were there ruffling some feathers. Um, we have documents indicating that they were in the town, in Cedar City, I believe, saying stuff like, "We have the gun that killed Joseph Smith." And the Saints who were living in that town had literally just been pushed out of Missouri on threat of death, so they kind of thought that, oh shoot, these people are, like, in my opinion, from what I understand of all the context I've read, they thought that these people were going to come and settle and push them out again, and they were like, no, we're not standing for this, we're going to kill all these people, which is not the right answer. So wrong, but it's definitely not what anti-Mormons frame it as. It is not the church strike or getting revenge for anything. Brigham Young did not know about it until much later. Now, another thing, Brigham Young did kind of cover it up, which is also not the right decision. So there's wrong decisions all around, but it's definitely not as bad for the church as people try to frame it. Sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent there on the Mountain Meadows massacre. Um, so let's see. Academics have called this denomination a restorationist church, a new religious movement. 200 years old. I don't know if you can call that new. Then you have to say the country's new. Um, and a potential world religion. Strong proponent of the nuclear families. That's true. Played a prominent role in political matters. I'm not sure about any of this, to be honest. I do know that we did have issues with same-sex marriage and physician-assisted death. We don't like that either. um, I don't know why we oppose the Equal Rights Amendment. It might be talking about blacks and the priesthood, which I think is way oversimplification. We definitely did not think that black people should not have the right to vote. Some people might have, but the position of the church definitely wasn't, like in modern times at least. Yes, I understand. Like the black and the priesthood thing was terrible and harsh for many people, but we weren't like segregating our audiences. Yeah, it should have happened sooner, but it didn't. But I wouldn't say that we opposed the Equal Rights Amendment. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that. I don't know. If someone wants to mention in the comments, oh yeah, it was this specific thing, I can look into this too. But that's not what I. Here we go. Nature of God. The LDS theology includes the belief of a Godhead composed of God the Father, His Son Jesus, who is the Latter-day Saints believed to be the Christ, and the Holy Ghost. Three separate persons who share a unity of purpose and will. However, or will. It says or, but it's and. Um, However, they are viewed as three distinct beings. This is true. This is in contrast with the predominant Christian view, which holds that God is a Trinity, which is not supported by the Bible, and Trinitarian scholars admit that. Um, yes, this line here, the Latter day Saint conception of the Godhead, is similar to what contemporary Christian theologians call social Trinitarianism. Yes, I do believe we are similar to that. Which is why I find people calling us not Christian funny, because there are social Trinitarianists who are considered Christian pretty easily, and we're not far off from them. So like it's like you let this guy in, but not us. um, yes, according to statements by church leaders, God sits at the head of the human family and is married to a heavenly mother who is the mother of human spirits. That is. Yes, they are father and mother. We believe that there's a heavenly family. Saying that she's the mother of our human spirits is not fully correct. People have said that. That's definitely the relationship, but they don't make children the same way that we do. Um, let's just leave it at that. Um, and yeah, we believe that we are co-eternal with God. Like our spirits have always existed. God might have organized something, but with Heavenly Mother, but they were not doing, spiritual celestial sex is the term that everyone likes to use. That's not what anyone is taught. Um, so don't believe anyone. If someone says celestial sex to you, just say, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about," because that's the correct response. Yes, we believe he's the literal Son of God. I think it says that the atonement includes the garden. We believe that. There is this weird thing where they thought that we didn't like crosses, and we definitely did steer away from crosses in our architectural design, but we do believe the cross is important, and that part of the atonement definitely occurred on the cross. Um, um, Disagreement about the nature of God. That's true. We definitely disagree about that. Includes three heavens. Paul talks about this. Oh, they have a little thing here. Let's see. So, let's see if this is correct. So we start in premortal existence. This premortal existence, I'm not going to move my mouse, but maybe I can. Yeah. Premortal existence. This is before Earth was even made, and while Earth is like it's around now, but it existed before as well. Basically, this process, this is birth. You have the veil put over you. You're born unto Earth. You have your life. You die. This is the spirit world. What it's not telling you here is that it's actually split into paradise and spirit prison, neither of which are an actual prison, um, even though it's called spirit prison. And neither of them are awesome either. Multiple people, prophets, have said that being separated from your body is not a pleasant time. That you will yearn to be back with your body, which is what happens at resurrection. But anyway, the people in the spirit world are like, in spirit prison, there's the people that didn't accept the gospel or didn't know the gospel, didn't have a chance. And spirit paradise is the people who did and accepted it. They teach the people in spirit prison, giving them an opportunity to fully understand everything so that they can accept the gospel if they want to. It is still a choice. Then there is resurrection. We believe everyone is resurrected, even Hitler. I just say that because some people want to say that Hitler doesn't. Resurrection is not part of heaven. It is just a process of the human condition. And resurrection is only possible because of Christ. So I don't want to say anything like that. Christ definitely was the one who made this possible. And then there's final judgment. Um, Celestial kingdom is for those who accepted the gospel, accepted Christ, and are capable of living the celestial law. It is you don't do any. There's no works you have to do to get there, but if you have the faith to believe in God and do what He asks you, then you will have done the works. Is kind of how that works. Terrestrial kingdom is going to be for everyone who accepted Jesus, but maybe couldn't accept all of the gospel, or maybe just couldn't handle the fullness of it, or didn't want to. And it's going to be exactly what people think heaven is going to be like. Like, for example, a lot of Protestants would be like, oh, well, when I get to heaven, I'm going to have a harp and I'm going to worship God forever. I know that's a little bit of a mischaracterization, but they basically think that they're going to worship God forever. And that's what's going to happen here. The Telestial kingdom is for people that, I don't know, like maybe couldn't accept Jesus or couldn't accept the gospel, but then come around to Him later, after they've passed. Oh, I lost it now. There we go. Yeah, so that's for it's for people that eventually come around but don't. And then outer darkness is for sons of perdition, people like Satan. They will be going to outer darkness. Don't ask me what happens there. I don't really know. I've heard some people say you get completely destroyed, and I've heard other people say you suffer forever. I don't know which one it is. Oh, I should mention that the majority of humans are going to land in these three kingdoms. Like almost I would say 90% are probably going to end up. I don't. That's not. I'm just saying from what I understand of the gospel, most people are going to end up here. I don't know if it's 90%, but it could be. Anyway, oh, I forgot to mention there was a little bit section. I'm not going to talk about that. I just had an issue with them calling it a theocracy when we were in Utah before we became a state. I don't think it was fully a theocracy. It was like a theocracy, but it wasn't like fully a theocracy. And they just a weird wordage there. I think all of this is pretty much true. I think I'm going to make a second video. Down here, because there's a section that is titled criticism and controversies, so I want to talk about these in a separate video. But for the most part, everything above this, this is all awesome. It's a lot better than what it used to be. So anyway, I hope this helps. I'm probably going to publish. I'm going to film these at the same time, so I'll probably publish both of them. So if you have time, watch them. If you don't, I don't think there's too much. I think if you read this Wikipedia page, you wouldn't be super like, oh my gosh, I need to like. There's so many wrong things. Like most of this is correct. Anyway, I hope this helps, and I'll talk to you real soon in the next one, hopefully.